All right, everybody. The time has come for the Monday, February the 4th, 2019 regular council meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seeger.
Present.
Alderman Mozio.
Here.
Alderman Villalobos.
Present.
Alderman Newsome.
Present.
Alderman Tempest.
Present.
Alderman May. Alderman Valco.
Here.
Alderman Taylor.
Present.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Mayor Cunningham.
Present. To lead us in invocation will be Reverend Dr. Cecilia Harris. And immediately follow that, Mr. Sessions, please step up to the front once the invocation is complete to lead us in the pledge. All stand, please.
Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. As you, Holy Creator, pen these words into the heart of your servant, James Weldon Johnson, and as you have blessed the voices and laments and hard work of countless persons across the wide vastness of your world with amazing grace, Lord, in your mercy, grace us again. Look upon the diversity of who we are as residents of the great city of Waukegan, and keep us in the path that leads to communions of reconciliation. Grace each of us anew with a passion that is tempered by wisdom. Ignite us with a resolve to continue the work that is vital to healthy communities. Give us the temperament that is essential to every great work that has ever been done that honors you and brings out the best in us. Empower every leader in this community to be tools that birth hope and hopefulness in all of us. Awaken and enable new persons to come alongside those called to lead with a commitment to do the essential work of building community together. As you have called persons from every ethnicity throughout all times, and as we remember with thanksgiving the contributions of countless persons of African descent to this great nation, continue your work in us and through us for the good of all of us. May none be weary in well-doing, and may we all together experience the uncommon grace, the amazing grace, and the soul strength that enables what seems impossible to become our new reality. Holy God, grace us again. Offer this prayer in the name of your Son, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is Mayor's comments. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I want to begin by thanking everyone who teamed up to make sure that our community was safe last week during the extreme cold weather. To our Waukegan Fire Department, Police Department, Public Works, our city administrative staff, Waukegan Township, Waukegan School District, Illinois Department of Human Services, PADS, Stretchers Bar and Grill, Oak Street Health, Pace Buses, Jesus Name Apostolic Church, Mount Moriah, State Senator Terry Link, State Senator Rita Mayfield, ComEd, the Red Iguana, and many, many others, all mobilized to ensure that everyone was cared for in the city of Waukegan. Thank you. Related to the weather, and now with the warming up, there has been a bunch, and I'm gonna say a word, bunch, of businesses and locations dealing with broken pipes. We've seen water breaks at 200 Julian, Jesus Name Church, Ramada Stretch Bar and Grill, 10 North Sheridan, even city council chambers was affected, and many other locations. Please be mindful of construction tomorrow at Sunset and Kellogg, as the city of Waukegan will be working on our own water main break. If you see any issues with water, any issues throughout the city where water main breaks exist, please don't hesitate to call and report those to our Public Works Department at 847-360-0944. Again, 847-360-0944. As many of you know, Waukegan Public Works Department does an amazing job of plowing the main arteries and our secondary main streets, along with our side streets. However, and Alderman, all of you received a package tonight that Jane put together for us to kind of take a look at. We're looking to improve the process on our side streets. And this process is to help our Public Works Department. There was an article written by our new son, and I thank you for that, for highlighting one of the major problems that exist tonight when we do our snow plow, over 2 inches. Ladies and gentlemen, residents, we're trying to work with you. But there is a cost associated with us if we damage one of these vehicles. These are huge trucks trying to get through to make sure that you have a way to get in and out. And we don't plow your neighbors in. We're going to come up with a process that we think that's going to benefit all of us. We're getting complaints in the mayor's office. The residents are frustrated. They're calling to the alderman. The aldermen are frustrated. And our public works drivers are frustrated. Now, it doesn't make sense all of us to be upset at one time. So we're looking to come up with a system that we think is going to benefit, so we can not only safely clean these streets on our side streets, but we do it in a more efficient and cost-driven way. So Alderman, please be looking for some ideas to come up here. And it's going to mean some of us going to do some unusual things when it comes to moving these cars. What we can't do is hit these cars, and let me tell you why. If something to happen to one of a city of Waukegan vehicles in a accident, particularly when you had 7 to 8 inches of snow dropping down in a matter of 2 or 3 hours, that truck now stays there for another couple of hours, not being productive. That just doesn't make sense. And there could be one car that can cause some of our narrow side streets. But what's more important to me, when a fire engine cannot drive down one of those side streets because we, and I'm going to say we, have not done our job, there's a liability issue that's on the city of Waukegan, ultimately on the taxpayers. That we cannot have. I am looking to work with all of you to do a better job for all of us. Because if we don't, I assure you, there's going to be an accident. We've lived for this for 20 years. Now it's time to do something about it. That means all of us are going to make some adjustments, and adjustments need to be made for the betterment of this community. I thank you. If you want to see these pictures of some of the, and just to be sure, I took the pictures. So I was out in the trucks. If you want to see these, you're welcome to do that, but the article on the front page clearly shows. You're lucky we got some very experienced drivers there. Because I can tell you that white car, probably inches away from that blade. So I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but this is so important to all of us, not just the city or the truck drivers, but all of you. Because most of the time we get, the city has not come and plowed my area when the car moves. So thank you for being patient and understanding with that. Make sure I got everything. Yep, Alderman. Black History Month. Waukegan Public School District 60 will be celebrating in schools throughout the city with events and activities planned for Black History Month. Please go to the WPS60.org for more information. I thought I saw one of our school board members here, Ms. Hannah. Ms. Hannah, were you here? Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Thank you for that. I know you guys are doing an awesome job over there with this Black History and the celebration within the schools. Here in City Hall, we will have a pop-up museum of Waukegan's African American past in our lobby from Monday, February 11th through February 22nd. The pop-up exhibit was in the lobby last year for the entire month of February. I think the Waukegan Park District, our own Janet Kilkelly and Chief Bridges, we want to thank you for making that happen for us. Appreciate it. In celebration of Black History Month, the City of Waukegan and Waukegan Park District will present an evening of monologues to benefit the Artist Yancey HBCU, which stands for Historically Black College and University Tour. This will be this Friday, February 8th, and Saturday, February the 9th, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Jack Benny Center for the Arts. Your very own, the mayor will be performing as Jackie Robinson. I'm gonna do my best.
What was that day and time again, please, Mayor?
The date will be this Friday, the 9th, this Friday, the 8th, and Saturday, the 9th, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Jack Benny Center for the Arts. For those who don't know, that's at Bowen Park. You go in all the way to where it dead ends. That's the Jack Benny for the Arts. Now, this is a fundraiser. Since I'm going to be out there being Jackie Robinson, I do have tickets. $20. The tickets are $20 and available to purchase at Waukegan Township, Park Place Senior Center, 414 South Lewis Avenue, or myself tonight. If you're interested, please feel free, all right? Cole's Children's Museum pop-up is back in Waukegan. Yes. Last time they were here, they stayed a month and did well over 2,500 people that came through the doors. What we're trying to do is get a pop-up going throughout the year. Only way for that to happen, we need your help. This is an amazing thing for young kids. Oh, it's awesome. So for those with young families, well, for some of us big kids, it's all right to go over there. And it's going to be at the Urban Edge. What's the address to the Urban Edge, David? 220 West Clayton Street. The groundbreaking was this Saturday, and I expect this year to be as big as last year. I think I went through all that. The pop-up is free and open to families Thursday evenings from 5 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. During the week, the pop-up will host field trips from our schools. Thank you, Ms. Hannah. And daycare facilities. A flyer with the calendar can be found on the agenda table outside chamber doors there. Upcoming events. City of Waukegan Chamber of Commerce holds its Wake Up with Waukegan tomorrow at Bonnybrook Golf Course. The featured speaker is our very own Fire Chief Bridges. Well, thanks for the 7:30 start time, Chief. Genesee Theater's upcoming shows include John Cusack live with a showing of the movie High Fidelity, Dennis Miller, Egomania, Styx, which is sold out, I'm not familiar with sticks, but if it's sold out, it must be good, right? Opening night at Anton in Show Business at Three Brothers Theater is Friday, February 15th, 7:30 p.m. The play will run Friday and Saturday through March 9th. Three Brothers Theater will also host a panel discussion of women in the arts this Wednesday, February the 6th, 7 p.m. Ethylene oxide mention. I want to highlight on today's agenda, Lake County Health Department is here tonight to provide us with an update with ethylene oxide. After the audience comments, and that's been changed, Alderman, and that's going to come in a second. But we're going to have them in as a kind of special surprise. We have Special Project Manager Dable T. Applegate, Special Project Manager to U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth's office is also here in the audience with us tonight. So thank you for joining us, sir. I'm going to give a motion by Alderman Valco, second by Alderman Taylor, to move item number 4, resolutions, proclamation, presentation, and appointment before item number 3, audience time. There's a motion on the floor. Any questions to the motion? Let me explain. The reason we're doing that is not often we get a captive audience like this, and the information that they have to present is very important, so we all thought you needed to hear it just as everyone else did, okay? It won't be long. So we're going to move item number 4. We're going to be moved up before item number 3. Motion on the floor by Alderman Valco, second by Alderman Taylor. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed and carried. With that being said, we do have what is called a Waukegan Proud Award. And today, we're presenting this Waukegan Proud Award to Ms. Raven May. Yeah, give a clap. Before I come down and present, Ms. Raven May, Waukegan Proud Award in recognition for being named the first student board member of the Waukegan Public School District history. Is that right, Ms. Hannah? That's history, right? She's the first. One first to the other one. I'm going to come down to present Ms. Hannah. Since you're here, you might have come on up and do it with me. Come on, Ms. Hannah. Raven, come on up to the front. I'll be right down. I always say this before I come over. You wonder, why do we do this, everybody? We do this because we hear so many stories when young men and young ladies are not doing what they're supposed to do. Front page news, social media, hot, it's a topic. But when our young men and young ladies are doing the things that we ask them to do, it's not always front page news. It's not always the hottest topic on social media. We in the city of Waukegan, from myself to all the aldermen, we're making it a priority to make sure we highlight our young men and young ladies who are doing great things in our communities, as we've asked. We're pushing them to their greatness. This young lady has shown that. I think she started as a sophomore going into a junior. Now you're a senior, right? Still a junior. So she got another year. So thank you for what you do as an example in our community. I know your mom and grandma and everybody's proud of you. We want you to know we're proud of you as well. So congratulations. Let's give it up for her.
I would like to thank Mayor Cunningham and the City of Waukegan for this unique award. No matter where I go, my roots will remain in Waukegan forever. Thank you.
As we always do, normally the mayors just do this, but but because we do this together, we ask all the aldermen to be a part of this picture. All right, here is your award. Open it up. All right. So Jane takes her picture, mom and dad, and family and friends, you do yours. Are we ready? Mom, you good? Uh-oh, no, she's not. Mom. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Mayor, just real quick along those notes, it warms my heart to see a student, Raven, whose mother was a former student of mine, her father was a former student and player of mine, and their grandmother. She's obviously had wonderful role models. Her mother is nobody better in all of Waukegan than her mother.
Awesome. You know, for the longest time, I thought her mom had somebody on the football, the basketball, track. She's at every sport event out there. Awesome, man. Love it, love it. And Larry, you didn't tell me daughter Janet was in the audience? Where's she? Janet, stand up. Thank you. The longest serving alderman in Waukegan's here. I'm gonna beat you, Larry. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. All right. All right, then. With that being said, we have the first presentation. We got a, presentation for Mr. Larry. Are you ready, Larry? Come on up. And Larry's going to be talking about some updates as it pertains to, from the health department, as it pertains to ethylene oxide, all right? Larry, you have the floor, sir. Thank you.
Mayor, point of order. You want to
Yes.
do the minutes first, sir?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, Larry. Stay right there. Don't move. Motion by Alderman Valco, second by Alderman Taylor, to approve the regular meeting minutes from Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. Are there any questions to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed and carried. All right, Larry, now you're back on.
All right. First of all, my name is Larry Mackey. I'm with the Lake County Health Department, and I've developed a frog in my throat in the last 5 minutes, so that's probably not served me well here. But my role there, I'm Deputy Director of Prevention Services, which is largely the environmental health programs that I oversee. So been with the department a very long time. I'm not going to tell you how many years, but it's been a lot of years. So I'd like to tell you from the start, on November 2nd of last year was the first time that we became aware of the fact that we had 2 facilities in Lake County that were permitted to emit ethylene oxide. Prior to that time, I got to be honest with you, I hadn't known a lot about ethylene oxide, and everything I'm going to tell you today I've learned since that point in time. And you know, we've had to become much more knowledgeable in order to assure that we can fulfill our role. And so everything I know, you know, we've learned since that point in time. So I kind of want to give you a little bit of the basics of just the chemical, a little bit about that, a little bit about what the regulations are and whose authority is, who has authority in these matters, and then everything we've learned to this point in time. I'd like to share that with you as well today. So ethylene oxide is a colorless gas. It's used pretty extensively in this country. It's used really for 2 main purposes. The first main purpose is to make other products. It's used to make, surprisingly enough, personal care products like shampoos, conditioners, lotions, and things like that. It is used in the production of those kinds of personal care products. It's also used to make antifreeze. It's very commonly used to make ethylene oxide combined with water and a little bit of acid will make ethylene glycol, which is antifreeze. So second use, and that's probably of interest to you all here tonight, is it's used to sterilize medical and dental equipment, and that's how it's used at Medline. Other sources of ethylene oxide in the environment, probably the other main source that we'll see in the environment is vehicle exhaust. So it can be produced there as well, but again, the primary uses are in those 2 areas. So people are going to be exposed through inhalation, through contact with the skin. Oddly enough, ethylene oxide is a liquid below 50 degrees. So if it was in a refrigerator, it would be liquid. At room temperature, it's a gas. So people can be exposed through ingestion, they can be exposed through inhalation, which is the most common way that people are exposed. Probably the reason why I'm here tonight is in December of 2016, the US EPA, which has authority over these matters of assessing risk and assessing chemicals and their potential impact on people, they reassessed ethylene oxide and determined it to be a known human carcinogen. And that was in December 2016. Prior to that time, it was a potential or possible human carcinogen. At that point in time, they had done a study, and actually it was done through the US EPA, and it's called an IRIS. The US EPA has a lot of acronyms, and I'm going to try not to use a lot of them with you tonight. But the IRIS report is the Integrated Risk Information System report. So that report was produced, and what that report determined was that ethylene oxide was a far more potent carcinogen than was previously believed. So what that did then, US EPA also has another acronym, which is NADA, which is the National Air Toxics Assessment Online Map. So the current map now is a 2014 map, which oddly enough was updated in August of 2018. But at that point, that map was redrawn, or it was reassessed with ethylene oxide to be known to be more potent than it previously had been. So it reset the parameters of that map. And what that map is, and this is directly from EPA, it's a risk screening tool. So what it's supposed to do, I don't know if you all have seen that on the US EPA website, there's a box drawn around, and what that is supposed to say, to tell people, is that it's a tool that's designed to depict areas where there's potential for increased risk of cancer. And so, again, with the reassessment of ethylene oxide, actually there were a couple other chemicals too at that time. Some of those areas were redrawn, and at that time, that's when we got a box around Medline in Waukegan. The maps, again, are designed, according again to US EPA, to be tools to assess potential risk, why it exists, and then determine if it indeed does exist. So, at the time that it was drawn, it was drawn largely in response to that reassessment of the chemical, but then what it was supposed to do then, the purpose of it is to say, okay, there's something potentially here, is there something here? So the maps don't represent known areas of higher cancer rates. That's not the design of that. Again, it's to depict areas of increased potential risk. Due to an error with EPA, some data wasn't included, and so you'll note, if you go and look at that map online, you'll note that there's not an area around the Vantage site in Gurnee. But that was because data wasn't reported properly, and so US EPA and Illinois EPA said that that was due to an error, so that was left off that map. But the thing that we know as the health department is that there are no known clusters of cancer in any areas here, especially those areas, or specifically those areas, but any other areas that we are aware of in Lake County. So again, that map is, again, for potential increased risk. So after November 2nd, when we became aware of this, we started researching this. We started saying, what is it that we can do? What role can we have in this to make sure that we fulfill what our role is, which is to help make sure that the people that are responsible for regulating these things are doing their job and protecting the health of the people of Lake County. Our primary concern is that, just like the primary concern of the city of Waukegan, the village of Gurnee is the same, to protect the health of the residents and assure that what's being done will make sure that that happens. So US EPA, while Illinois EPA is essentially a part of US EPA, they have different roles. US EPA's primary role in this matter, which is the United States Environmental Protection Agency, their primary role is to do these risk analyses, establish levels that are considered to be safe or unsafe in terms of exposures, and then to set emission levels for people that are using these chemicals that would then be considered to be acceptable. So their role, again, is to assess and then to set these levels. The Illinois EPA, their role is to issue the permits and to enforce those permits based on those standards. So there's slightly different roles, slightly different responsibilities. Now, Lake County Health Department's role, again, we have no regulatory authority in this matter. What we do have is, again, the interest of protecting the health of the people here in Lake County. And so what we've been trying to do in this whole matter since November 2nd of 2018, we've been just trying to gather information, work as leaders, and work with the affected communities, and work with both the Illinois EPA and the US EPA to try to get information, to try to find out what's being done, what can be done, and what will be done. So we've had opportunities to gather information. We've had conference calls. We've had 3 conference calls with US EPA and Illinois EPA, one and or the other. We have met in person with the US EPA down in Chicago back in November, end of November. As a health department, our team, we have a team of about 4 or 5 people that have visited both sites and met with the management at both the facility in Gurnee and both Medline here in Waukegan. We received, we were required to file a Freedom of Information Act request with Illinois EPA. We received information on the permitted levels of emission and the actual emission levels. We received that information from the Illinois EPA. So what do we know so far to date? One thing we asked from the beginning was that the US EPA set up a website. If you, I mean, sort of going back in time prior to November 2nd when we became involved, obviously the first case that received attention was a Sterigenics case in Willowbrook. And what US EPA had done there was set up a website. And so we requested that they do something similar for Lake County, for our residents here, so that we can have a central point of information where the agencies responsible for these regulations and for enforcing these regulations can have that central point where this information can be distributed to the public. It can be in one spot. It can be, that way we're not getting mixed messages, we're not getting multiple messages. They did create that site. There is information on there, and some of the information I'll share with you right now is on that site now. And that one bit of information that is currently on the site that I would share with you is that both the Vantage facility and the Medline facility here in Lake County have agreed to install additional emission controls. Those are voluntary steps that they're taking. Those were not regulatory steps by the Illinois EPA, but they did voluntarily agree to install additional controls. They're slightly different because Vantage is a chemical facility that uses ethylene oxide in the production of other products, whereas Medline rather is a sterilization. So there's slightly different methodology going on there. So there's slightly different controls that are going to be put in place. But those, according to our contacts with those 2 facilities and with and is also as reported on the US EPA website, those are supposed to be in place by the end of spring, by the end of the first quarter, sometime in the spring of 2019. So we haven't had an update on that. That is on the website now. That we have not had contact with those 2 facilities in the last probably month or so, but we did have a conference call with the Illinois EPA on January 17th, and they told us that those are on track to be installed by the end of the first quarter of 2019. Aside from that, the US EPA has not been very active in updating that site, and it's something that we're going to request that they will push that they do a little bit more, get more information. Whether there is more information to share or not, I'm not certain, but I would like them to at least go into that site and evaluate it and make sure that they've got the most current information on there for the public. There's also the Vantage site. I know it's not of primary interest to you here, but they will be doing some air monitoring there. Medline has not committed to doing to do any air monitoring on site at this point in time. Our department, again, has no regulatory authority in the matter, but have advised that there's that some, as they're calling it, fence line or site air monitoring be done both prior to and after the installation of the additional controls. But we have not, at this point in time, received a commitment yet from Medline on that. There has been, if there is interest, and if you'll allow me a few more minutes if you're interested, there has been air monitoring that's been done around the Sterigenics site in Willowbrook, both by the US EPA and by some independent testing firms. That information is available online, and I would encourage everyone to Google that information and look it up. There has been, the most recent results from the Sterigenics site is posted from November of 2018. And again, the reason why I mention that is because, each site is different, but the more information we have, it is instructive to what we're looking at, especially with the Medline site, since they're similar facilities. They had some defects on the EPA testing in the parts per billion, low parts per billion range, both on the independent testing and the EPA testing. In our meeting in Chicago at the US EPA did say that they would be doing some modeling of exposure levels, and not to get too deep into the weeds, but when an emission standard is set to say you can emit X number of pounds of this material into the atmosphere, there's not a direct correlation to that would result in this exposure to a person 1,000 feet away if they're there for X number of hours per day. And EPA is committed to doing some of that that modeling of those exposure levels. And the other thing that they had mentioned was that they were going to be doing an more in-depth analysis of cancer rates in those areas. Whether that's going to occur here or not, that's not something that they have committed to at this point. Our last conference call in January of this year, a couple weeks ago, the EPA did indicate that their information was that they thought that there might be a review of those standards that were established. Again, those levels for what they considered to be safe exposure were set at a very, very, very strict level, and so whether EPA will look at that again or not is something that we're not sure of, but the Illinois EPA seems to think that they're going to do that. There has been legislation proposed, and again, that's a bit outside of our lane here at the Health Department, both at the federal and at the state level. Not sure where that's going to go at this point, but that would potentially put some additional restrictions on the use of ethylene oxide or the emission of ethylene oxide. The one thing that I sort of would like to end with is, at local government, city government, county government, I think we're kind of used to seeing problems, addressing problems, getting problems resolved, moving to the next. We would all love to see this happen with this problem at the federal level and at the state level, but primarily this is an issue at the federal level. And I think we all are aware of the fact at this point now this is going to take a little bit of time to resolve and work through. And again, whereas we would love to see this resolved next week, have some sort of answer, I think there's going to be some time that's going to have to lapse before they can come up with some sort of solution and figure out whether or not those standards are going to be adjusted, whether the permits are going to be adjusted, where we're going to go with that. And again, our role here is to try to work with you people here in the city of Waukegan, both the elected officials and the people here, and the people in Gurnee and the other affected areas, to make sure that we're trying to make sure that, again, everyone is doing the best to try to make sure that this is going to be accomplished to protect the health of the people the best that we can. But we're in kind of a tough spot here without the regulatory authority to do so. We're just, again, pushing and working the best we can to try to bring the parties together. And for the people, someone asked me at Gurnee, what can people do? And what I would recommend people do is do research. Google is your friend. Look up information. Try to educate yourself. I spent a lot of time. Again, I had no idea what the ethylene oxide really even was prior to November. So learn the best you can, and we're trying to put this into context for people and make sure people are aware of the fact that there's potential risk there. We don't know at this point in time what that risk truly is, and we're trying to work with the EPA to figure that out.
Well, thank you very much, and I know there was a lot more questions and answers at this point, but partnering with you as you move through this process and finding out as much information we can from those regulatory authorities, we'll try to disseminate that to at least to our residents and others. So just continue this partnership, and when updates come, we'll invite you back and we move from there. Now, there's a website that's out there. Can you give that website again, please?
I don't know the exact. If you Google Illinois EPA Lake County ethylene oxide, it'll come up.
You know, I'm gonna get better than
It's-
David.
it's-
Don't we have
it's a
attached to that
USCP.
website on our page, correct? Okay.
There you go.
So we have a copy of it, that goes directly, links directly to the U.S. or state,
It's USCPS.
USCPA. All right. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Taylor.
I just wanted to mention a couple things. One, if I'm not mistaken, with fence line monitoring, the one concern with that is that if they're not operating at full capacity, you may not get as accurate readings as what could be happening there. Am I correct? So that has to kind of be worked out a little bit.
Yeah, there I know, again, this is not my area of complete expertise, but my understanding is there are different methodologies where you can do a grab sample, you just take a sample, but there are other methods where they set up a sampling device that samples over a 12 or 24-hour period. So I think there are ways to take that into account.
Okay. Some other great information is that you actually talked at the Gurney Village meeting last week, and it was a special meeting, so it was 90 minutes. So it goes into more depth. So that's a great source. The other thing is Dave Savini is doing a special, he did it last night on Channel 2 News, and I believe part 2 is tonight on serogenics. And that also is informational for, you know, if you're just looking to know how to become educated on the subject, those are great places. I list those on my Facebook page also, so if that is Ann Taylor, Alderman Waukegan 9th Ward, so if you want to use those as a resource, that's available to you too. But what I suggest is, you know, residents is start to become educated on the subject. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thanks, Larry.
I'd like to,
All right.
Mayor, I'd like to just add a couple comments to that too.
Alderman Villalobos.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. While he was speaking, I actually did take a opportunity to pull up the websites through the EPA. I feel like as a community, we're getting overlooked. The Willow Book, the Sterogenics website itself has 11 updates, most recent being January 28th and December 28th, and then there was December 18th, December 13th.
I'm sorry, Alderman, what do you mean by we're being overlooked? I'm not understanding.
Well, one of the things he mentioned was having the US EPA doing more regular updates for the website. That's one avenue that the residents can go for information.
Okay.
And there doesn't seem to be much update than what was there, what's been there initially. Because I've looked at this website a couple of times, and I have for trying to monitor any additions.
What we'll do then, Alderman, is we'll contact those, our national leaders, so we
Right.
can get them to get that done, okay?
Right.
Next.
Again, like I said, I just want to make sure that this information gets disseminated as soon as possible.
And it will. I
Right,
mean,
agreed.
as we get it, we'll disseminate it.
Right.
Okay.
But we also have to kind of also lean onto the US EPA and IEPA to make sure that this does happen in a timely fashion. Because, again, we're relying on them as the experts in the situation. And so if we're not having those dialogues regularly to, again,
But I
get this
want
information.
to make sure, because it sounds like you're throwing out that.
I'm not making accusations.
No,
I'm
no,
not.
I'm not saying that you are, sir. What I'm saying to you is, when you say we're not having, we are on those phone calls, I think, once a month.
Mm-hmm.
So as we get the right information, we're making sure that that information is being pushed out to the right channels. So I want to make sure you're not saying the city, what the city is trying to do is keep not only itself informed, but inform those who need to be informed about this product. So I just want to make sure we're understanding what you're saying.
What I'm saying is I feel that the US EPA is not
Okay.
making us a priority, basically, because looking at the Willowbrook Sterogenics website, there's 11 updates there currently.
So you're
Stemming
not,
from October.
It's not making Metline and Gurney a priority, or?
That's, I mean, again, just looking at the website,
Okay.
it's the sense I get
The
that.
EPA website.
The EPA website,
All
let me
right,
be clear, the
thank you.
EPA website, thank you, Alderman Moiseo. Again, we just want to make sure that we are at the forefront of their minds.
Okay, yes, sir, I agree.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Next, we have, all right, this is going to be some you fishermen out there. Waukegan Port District Harbor Master Joe Settlement Presentation Update. And it's good information, but it might be a little bit disappointing to some of our fishermen. Joe, go ahead.
My name is Joe Seidelman. I'm the general manager of the Waukegan Port District and Waukegan Harbor and Marina. I'd like to thank the mayor and the city for having me here tonight, as well as the public, to be able to give some updates to the public about some of the access down at the harbor. I've been with the harbor for 15 years, and in the last couple of years, we've seen more cooperation amongst all of the organizations in Waukegan than we have in the past. It's been great, and I just want to applaud everybody involved in the fact that city, the public works, the park district, the port district, everybody is really communicating and helping each other out in order to make the lakefront active and improvements. Some of the improvements that the harbor has taken on over the last couple of years, if you've been down there, is new landscaping upgrades, monument signage, waypoint signage. We have a new ADA canoe and kayak launch that we installed last year that is open to the public free of charge to get out on the lake and to get people used to using the water and activating the lakefront. None of that would have been possible without the help from the city, the park district, public works. So I just want to thank everybody involved for making that happen. And I hope to come more often and be able to give updates about the port operations as well as what's going on down at the lakefront. The reason that I am here tonight is we operate the recreational harbor as well as oversee the federal port, which is where the large ships come in to National Gypsum and the cement silos. The Corps of Engineers, the Army Corps of Engineers, maintains that federal channel as well as both piers on either side of that channel that delineated. Last year, there was a surplus of funding because of the lake level being up and they did not have to dredge as much sand. They were able to redo the concrete on the north half of the pier near the public beach. This year, due to a surplus of funding because of the lake level continuing to rise, the Corps of Engineers is going to finally take care of the concrete problem on the government pier or the south pier of that channel. That is the pier that everybody knows of as the Lighthouse Pier. It has a lot of public access. There's been a lot of public concern over the years with the concrete situation out there. The Corps has put in their budget to take care of the concrete from the bend where it jogs out east towards the lighthouse. In the early 2000s, they had done the first part of that concrete and they were not able to complete that project. They are now coming back and they are going to finish off that concrete all the way to the lighthouse, as well as install new safety ladders and make sure that everything is safe and sound out there for the public to access it. Due to weather problems as well as a little bit of a lapse on their timeline, they wanted to try to get this done over the winter. It was not able to happen, so they plan on starting that project relatively shortly. The reason I'm here tonight is to explain to the city as well as the public that pier is planning on being shut down from mid to late February until end of July this year for construction. Now that is going to cause a lot of public concern and concern for fishermen's access, anybody else that normally walks that pier, but I wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that this is a good thing that's happening. We're finally getting this pier rehabbed. Everything's going to be brand new when they're completed, and weather dependent, it may happen before end of July, but that is their timeline as it stands right now. So the city, I am asking, I brought this diagram to kind of show here. Thank you. The government pier is the red line there on the map. I know it's hard for everybody to see. It's the biggest one I could get in short notice. The current public access that we have at the port is the yellow areas. Over by our yacht club on our commercial dock, there is still access for fishing. On the south breakwall, there's still access for fishing to the south of the marina. The green areas are the old Johnson Motor Pier, as well as the north half of that channel that was redone last year. And I would ask the city and the mayor to consider talking amongst yourselves, and we'll try to figure out some better public access for those areas. I know currently the beach area is closed to the public and non-residents during the season. I'm hoping that maybe we can work together and find out some access for early morning fishing or some other areas over there to just try to eliminate some of the problems that could happen from that pier being shut down during the season. Once we figure out those details, we plan on having a larger print of this on display at the harbor, as well as the city offices where people go to pick up fishing licenses. That way everybody's aware of it, as well as some press releases to make sure everybody's aware of the pier being shut down. We'll plan on posting it on our Facebook pages, on our website, as well as the city website, so that everybody has as much notice as possible. I know this is a little bit of a hiccup in the public access down there and the use of the water, especially considering the plan is that it'll be shut down during the 4th of July, which could cause some problems. But like I said, I want to make sure that everybody is understanding that this is a really good thing, and this is another step towards that lakefront really being brought to anew. It's been great over the last several seasons to see how many strides we've made along the lakefront. And we've actually partnered with the Department of Natural Resources and the Park District to put new signage along of our harbor walk. I can just give everybody a quick representation of that, but north where the ships come in, all the way along the lakefront down through the marina, we have a newly defined walkway that we've put together, and there will be new waypoint signage there that'll feature historic pictures of the lakefront, history about Waukegan, as well as information about fish, migratory birds, and other information on the EPA cleanup that's happened over the years in the history of the harbor. So I, ask everybody to check that out during the season and invite everybody down to the lakefront. Like I said, this could cause some access issues, but we still want everybody to be able to enjoy the lakefront without any concern.
All right, well, thank you. All right, all in all, everybody, fishing is going to be very limited. Let's get the dates again. Limited from when? From what start?
Mid to late February until the end of July.
So mid to late February, so let's put this in terms. So we're talking probably February, let's say early August. No fishing at all on the pier,
Correct.
the lighthouse pier.
On the lighthouse pier.
All right. Everybody, we got the Facebooks out, all the Twitters out. Get that out, please. Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for coming in. And then to his point, we do have some great things that's going on. Some great things that's going on at the harbor, and some other things we're going to be working with them to do more, spur more activities, entertainment, recreational activities. Thanks, Joe, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. If you want to leave that, David, you think we just have that downstairs? You need that?
No, I'm going to make a new one that has the area.
Okay.
Better marked for you guys too.
Yeah, we can have that downstairs in the lobby so everyone can see too, with a little message on it. Message board. Thanks, Joe. All right. All right, everybody, we have one more. We have a proclamation. I'm going to get a motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Taylor. Proclamation approving the Waukegan Women's Club's Day, celebrating 125 years of existence. Just a little. So let's get a motion on the floor. Any questions to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Little history. Their inception date was February 19th, 1894. They started, all of you are going to be surprised on this one, the Waukegan Public Library, the Waukegan Park District, the first symphony concert at the beach. They built at the beach the first band shell, is that correct? And the first bathhouse. Everybody know what a bathhouse is, so you're going to have to say that when we get up here. All right, ready? Well, we did a celebration today. We went to their, is it monthly luncheon? Or to the monthly luncheon, and I met a young lady, 98 years of age. And there was another young lady, 91. I told them I'm catching up. Slowly. We had the proclamation. We just want to really bring them in front of City Council. And I said to myself, who would have known that you started the Waukegan Library in the Waukegan Park District? That's some history that I don't think, I would have never thought about that. Now the band shell, thank you very much. Had a lot of time down there. And we really appreciate what this women organization has done and the history you have for this community. So we want to celebrate. Today, Janet and I also got a flower. Not a flower, a rose, a yellow rose. All right? Janet, you want to present this again? Or
All
you
right.
want to take a group picture with the aldermen and the members, some, not the founding members, that is, but some of the members of the, all right? Come on. All right, aldermen, here we go, one more time. No, just sit right here. I'm going to go down front. Did you want to say anything?
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate the recognition of our 125 years of service.
Yes, come on. I'm in the middle, on each side. There it is. Got a little Waukegan. Janet, Chief.
I don't want to cut off all the votes.
And you had 1,400 members.
Yes.
Wow.
Years ago, there were 490. Little job, but we're hanging in there.
Marvin, if you'd been in that part of that group, we'd been in trouble. Thank you very much, ladies. All right, we're now back at our regular agenda, and it was item 3. Thank you, Alderman. Thank all those who were here tonight. We thought there was some good information you were going to need as we move forward. All right, we have now item 3, Madam Clerk, audience time.
All right, I have first on the list James Sisson, and it's 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening, to our mayor and the city council. I just stand here today on behalf of Stretcher's Bar and Grill. Today, we just wanted to talk about a little bit what he does for us in the community. We're not sure exactly why it's been shut down. It's been shut down for a few times. Not exactly sure. It seems like the city is kind of picking on him a little bit for as far as we're looking out on this. So anyway, what I want to say to you all, those of us, we have like a 50 and older crew. We have a game night there. A lot of us don't even attend bars, but this is a place like a Cheers for us. Can I say that? And we really, really love this establishment. This man has a lot of accomplishments that he's done. We grew up together, me and him, from Mount Sinai Institutional Baptist Church. And not only is he a good person in our community, he is a realtor. He also is with the Harlem Globetrotters. And he could have took his business anywhere, but he chose to use the city of Waukegan. And I'm not sure what exactly is going on, but even if it's just shut down this time because of the water, now that's coming from the hotel. Will the city be able to help pay for that? Because that's not a part of his building. And I feel if any building is being condemned or shut down and it's a problem, I believe somehow the city usually helps that out or something like that. So today, we're just standing today for this man. Not only did me and him as well work in the community for when we needed a warming center, we went out and got people off the street, over 50 people, and fed them for 2 days, me and him myself. So I want to know, we're talking about people in the community and community leaders with the community in our hearts. And this is one man that stood. And I believe that at this time, we need to stand here for him. And how many people are here on behalf of Stretchers? Can you stand up today, please? So that's how much this man means to our community. Can you please take a look at that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maurice Barnett.
Hi, I'm Jessica Barnett. I'm next on the list, but I have a prepared statement, so I'm just going to read it. He's nervous. He'll speak after. The mission statement for Stretcher Sports Bar and Grill was to bring the community together, was to present a platform to our community, to have a place for our community to exhibit their talent, for entertainment, in our community, to have outreach, for all of us to have a place in the community that we can band together without prejudice, as a safe and secure place where we can all be heard and united as a community. We are a family business, maybe not by relation, but by love. We would like the opportunity to operate our business without unsolicited advice from individuals who claim to represent the City of Waukegan's views. We are here to give back and uplift our community. Too much bad information has been given to the city officials concerning Stretches Sports Bar and Grill, and the city officials not allowed us at Stretches to respond and defend ourselves against the false information. We are only asking for common courtesy as a local business owner. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am.
You can take it out, Stretch, because I know.
Well, I'm gonna just say, I appreciate those words, James. I really do. Me and Mayor, we've had a few different conversations on different occasions. Not always very pleasant, but I've known that man over 30 years plus of my life. So I actually, in one of our conversations, if I may, I'll explain. I told him, sometimes I made a statement, I'm gonna step back. I made a statement on Facebook that sometimes doing the right thing is gonna be uncomfortable. And what I mean when I say that is, there's been a few occasions when we first opened, we had a few bumps in the road, but my intentions was to bring some of the younger folks together, to get them off the streets, to stop some of the violence. So when you have the different types of gangs in our community, you have moles, foes, GDBs, whatever, down the list, where I can feel like I can bring them into one place and find out who's the guy in charge, who's the leader, who's the guy they look up to, and grab them by the shoulder, and grab the next one by the shoulder, and I bring them together and have a conversation. And even if it was for a day or 2 days, it was a truce, it was a stop. And maybe sometime you may not agree, but I bring them to the front of the bar. And when I brought them to the front of the bar, I have our bartenders, and they knew if they saw my arm around one and my arm around the other guy, they knew Stretch was putting out a fire. So I bring them in, and then the bartenders come over, and then what I tell those guys, I say, do you support me? Do you rock with me? And sometimes I use a little derogatory. I say, do you mess with it? And they all agree, yes, Stretch, we support you. And I said, then this is not the place in order time, here and outside of here, to do what you guys are doing. And I said, I believe when you guys tell me that you support me, you rock with me. So if you're gonna do that, here's what I'm asking, I'll tell the bartender. And they know they'll come over and they'll bring a drink over for me and bring one for them. And then I'll tell them, I said, don't look around, but I'm telling you, all your guys, that rival gang over there watching you right now. And I looked to the other side, I said, they're watching you right now. Don't look, but what I need us to do, we're gonna put it together and we'll toast and then do a shot, and you can feel the tension in the room drop instantly. Instantly. But then there was one night, they all went back. There was a shooting in our parking lot. But those two gentlemen involved, they weren't the young people. They were older guys my age, had never been inside a Stretches Sports Bar and Grill. But that labeled us of what we stand for, because every month I'd give a group of young people 1 day a month out of 30 to come together. And next thing you know, the label was Stretches is a place for gang members. And that's what we did every day. And we've been fighting the city, sometimes the police officers, different officials, to share that image. And I said, how are we being judged on something that never happened inside a bar? Those guys never been in today or any other day. But because it was on a day that was designated for the younger folks, it stuck. And I feel like we've been attacked from different ways ever since that day. And it even got to a point where they told me I have to disassociate myself with the group by the name of the Crazy Gang.
Thank you,
I said,
Mr. Barn. That's the 3 minutes. Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yasheen Phillips.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yashin Inchworm Phillips, and I'm the owner of Inchworm Entertainment LLC. Aside from that, I'm also a member of the hashtag Just Do It _vote coalition. I was here a couple weeks ago in front of all of you, informing you about our event. It is the Alderman Meet and Greet scheduled February 7th, and it is, the other members of that group include Carlos Smith, who is he is a part of the Crazy Riot Show and the Crazy Gang, and also he's the director of the Elite Striders drill team. There's also Vance Wyatt, who was served on the Lake County Board, Brandon Ewing, who was on the Waukegan School Board, Andrew Gatson, who's here tonight. He's a part of the Yoked Mentorship Program, Anton Matthews, Phil Myers. We have all came together because we care about our community and we want to connect with our community. I'm saying this because we chose Stretch's Sports Bar and Grill because that is they're a pillar in the community. They bring everyone together. So we wanted the millennials and the aldermen and the people who we aren't familiar with to come to a familiar place where we feel love, kindness, and a sense of family and respect. We wanted that to be the place where we met. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I just want to personally thank Stretch and Jessica for all of the things that they've done for the millennials, the young people, the people in the community. So thank you so much for all that you do, that you've done for me. And we will be providing extra information very soon as to where the new location will be for our meet and greet. But just know that we are some very motivated millennials. We care about our community. We care about Stretch. And we are all here just to make a difference. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Diana Burdette. Diana Burdette.
Good evening. I'm going to bring it back to ETO because it was a personal thing for me. In 2008, my husband and I moved to Waukegan, and he started his PhD program. I was doing a bachelor's degree up in Wisconsin and coming back and forth. In 2012, I started feeling ill to my stomach. I started having gastrointestinal issues. I couldn't keep food down. I couldn't think straight. I was having breathing issues. My husband was having breathing issues. And I wasn't doing very well. 2013, we decided we wanted to expand our family because we didn't know how much longer we were going to be around. I was thinking maybe I should cut back on the drinking, and that was the problem. Unfortunately, it wasn't. 2014, I started having really severe pain. I started retching and not being able to keep anything down in any way. And I started losing some weight, but we continued with our family. We had another baby in 2015. That's when everything kind of took a turn. I was no longer able to eat meat and root vegetables and all grains, every single grain, anything with preservatives, anything with sugar, everything threw me off. And I had, at that point, a 2-year-old and a newborn. Last year in November, in October, we decided to move out of the second ward. The second ward is the ward that is located within a really severe area of ETO. In October, we moved out of that area and we moved into the 6th ward. By then, I had lost 80 pounds. I was bones and my skin was hanging off and I was still raising my children. And my oldest one had some skin issues. My husband couldn't breathe. And we were going through, I was going through doctor after doctor getting blood tests. And at one point I was crying to my husband because I felt crazy. Nothing was being able to be found. And I went through double procedure, an endoscopy and colonoscopy at 30. And nothing was found. And my doctor just kept saying, something is wrong with you, but I don't know what it is, and we're going to continue to look, and nothing was found.
Thank you, thank you.
Can we let her
Just
finish?
saying that in November I left, and it cleared up. I left that area, and it cleared up.
Thank you. Dylan Burdette.
Thank you all for your time. You just heard my wife speak, so I'm not going to repeat that. I am a biochemist. I have a PhD in biochemistry from Rosalind Franklin University. So when I first heard about the ethylene oxide leak in November 2nd, I instantly knew what was going on. I knew what the risks were. This is a chemical that I've worked with in the laboratory for many years. I know what the risks are associated with it, and I know what the risks are, both carcinogenic and non-carcinogenic. All of the symptoms that my wife was describing, digestive problems, neurological problems, skin rashes, irritation in the eyes, irritation in breathing, these are all non-carcinogenic symptoms that the EPA has linked to low-level chronic ethylene oxide exposure. These are well established. You can look on the EPA website for any of this. Now, the thing is that I am currently a biotech professional. That's what I do. And there are a lot of biotech professionals that live in Waukegan, and we are all aware of ethylene oxide. We know what it does. We know what the symptoms are when people are exposed to it. And if you think that these large corporations that recruit talent from all over the world aren't discussing this internally, they are. They're all waiting to see what the city and what the county are going to do, because they need to make a decision. They need to decide if they want to keep all those jobs here or if they're going to try to move them. Because if the city and if the county can't guarantee scientists and can't guarantee these professionals a safe work environment, there's no reason. They're multinational corporations. There's no reason for them to stay here. It's like Alderman Villalobos said, it feels like maybe the EPA isn't giving us kind of their full attention. But I feel that this is something that is of a big concern. I'm very glad that Larry came and talked to us. He answered several of my questions, and after he talked, me and him had a little conference out back, and we talked a little bit more, and I'm going to continue to stay in contact with him. There are many other scientists that are concerned about this issue, and we're all talking just in our own personal capacity, and we just would really urge the council, and we would really urge the county to stay on top of this and keep us informed and keep the public informed, because there are a lot of people and a lot of jobs that might be affected by this. Thank you.
Thank you. Basim Iftikhar.
Good afternoon, members of the committee and all the people who are listening to me. When I came here, I did not know how many speakers will be here speaking about its concern of ethyl oxide in our community. So many of the speakers have already spoken what I was planning to speak. But let me, as a scientist myself and having spent almost 3 decades in research, I just want to emphasize the need to act quickly, because as you know, cancers, most of them have unknown etiology. We do not know what causes it truly, and we know the outcome. The risk may be small, but the outcome is terrible. All of you know that. So I wanted to make sure that this factor is again reinforced. Our people that I deal with in the community are very, very concerned about it, because many of us have little children or grandchildren. So again, my request is, I don't want to repeat what was said, I'm very grateful to Larry for explaining this. I'm sure they are doing everything possible. With the current environment of EPA funding and all that, I'm very concerned. As a concerned citizen, I'm requesting you to be, again, as you said, be on top of it. I'm preaching to the choir, but I really think this is something that should not wait for epidemiology research, should not take years to do it. I think take action quickly, and then when the results come in, maybe we can revisit the decision making. Thank you very, very much. Good day.
Thank you. Katie Reinhardt and Joanne Sabanjan.
Thank you. I'm here to represent the Waukegan area branch of American Association of University Women and the League of Women Voters in Lake County. And I want to know that if they're not free on the 7th of February, here's another opportunity on the 10th of February to come and inform yourself about the races for city council that exist here in Waukegan. You get a chance. We are really dedicated to being non-political in every way, but we want to make sure that the people that are running for office have a chance to have their say, and that you have a chance to hear and become informed. So if you come to the Jack Benny Center for the Arts at Bowen Park at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, you will get a chance to hear the aldermen who are candidates. In the 2nd Ward, it will be Jose Guzman and Patrick Seeger. In the 3rd Ward, it will be Greg Moisio and Margaret Carrasco. In the 7th Ward, John Patterson and Ricardo Ratana Nava. And in the 8th Ward, Vin Florian and William Barco. So I assume that you will all be there, and you will be there so people can hear what you have to say about how you want to work for the city of Waukegan. Sunday, 10 o'clock, 10th of February, 2 o'clock at the Jack Benny Center. Thank you.
Thank you. John Gaskill.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Alderman and Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take this opportunity to throw some more numbers your way. I spoke with Patrick Toto in our children's department this evening on my way over here. I said, I need some numbers, Patrick. I need some numbers. And he said, well, several hundred is the actual number. We have a great program at the library called Bus to Us, which brings all the first graders. This year we've adjusted it. It used to be 1st through 3rd. This year we're focusing just on the first graders, and we've already seen several hundred first graders at the library participating and learning about the library and things that the library has to offer, and most of them will walk away with a library card. So if we hit every single grade for every single year, we'll get every single person in this community with a library card, which is a great goal. And I also wanted to say that we've got hundreds more to serve because we're excited to have more kids coming in. Until May, we'll be running the Bus to Us program. Also want to give a shout out to the folks at the Coles Museum. I brought my kiddos on Saturday to the first day, and it was really fun to see kids participating and being active in a space. It really, as a librarian, it makes me happy to see people learning and growing together. And last but certainly not least, thanks to the community for supporting a Breaking Bread community conversation, and also Ashley Cullen Williams for participating. We had several people come, of course, Honorable Mayor Cunningham and Brad Schneider came, Representative Schneider came to participate. I was not able to attend, but my HR person, Deb, came and participated and was really grateful to see what a wonderful program it is. So if you're not doing anything in particular on any given day, please stop into the library and give us a visit. We'd love to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Guzman.
Good evening. I very concerned about what this family talking about the environment. But I come in tonight talking about paperclip. that cost thousands of dollars for the taxpayers to pay a lawyer come from Chicago. Thanks to a buyer, rejecter, none of those people been faced in the court. None of them. This is worse than 16 shots in Chicago. Cover up. That's what they're doing in here. The mayor present this. You don't see no paper clipping here at all. Did you see paper clipping here? Paper clip cost us thousands of dollars to pay a lawyer. Comes from Chicago, and they still appeal. Do we need Waukegan that way? The reason they do that, because I've been telling, there are some people making close to $200,000 a year. Start with the mayor. And they don't want to take a pay cut. The roads, there's no more roads. Potholes, fill it up, the next day, they're up. They're just throwing the money away, and they take their big, huge pay checks. Waukegan is going to go broke very soon. And all they're thinking is raising taxes, raising taxes. Now, thousands of dollars paying a lawyer from Chicago to fight a clip. Paper clip. Now, where's the buyer? The one that buyer, Antonio Campos. He should pay for that. Where's the law? Where's the court? This is worse than the 16 shots. They cut it up. Where's the alderman? Why he don't give the face in court? Why Antonio Campos never show the face in court? This is what we want for our kids. This is what I want for our city. Please, please, please do something about it. We cannot let this go. Why he doesn't approve? It's another very important thing you guys
Thank
must
you,
know.
Mr. Guzman. Thank you, thank you.
There are people in
Thank
the
you.
city
Thank you, that's 3 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Thank you. Jenny Bovio? Jenny Bovio?
Good evening, Council. My name is Jenny Bovio. I'm from the 8th Ward. I'd like to thank everyone who attended yesterday's community meeting on ethylene oxide in Gurnee. As someone who assembled that community meeting, I was proud to have representation of Waukegan there. I hope this is indicative of your commitment to the public safety. That being said, we have a lot of work to do. We have to inform Waukeganites of what is happening. Many still are unaware. Would you be willing to host a public meeting informing residents on this matter by any chance? Perhaps working with Congressman Schneider. Melinda Bush is planning on having an open forum for Lake County and with the IEPA. If you would keep this on your radar and perhaps update the website with details as they become available, this would be really helpful to have that information up. Also, I'd like to request, ask that you request air and groundwater testing and a cancer cluster study from the IEPA and the US EPA. I think having 2 facilities that emit ETO within our wards, it's not unreasonable to ask this request. Both Vantage and Medline affect us, and I think we need to keep this on our radar. I think that we need to keep Vantage on our radar. Being in the 8th Ward, I'm within a mile of Vantage, and I don't know if you've noticed the numbers that were previously reported before they changed them with the bad press. Their numbers were twice as much as Sterigenics numbers. Sterigenics having, I'm sure you've heard yesterday's Channel 2, the reporting. Sterigenics is notorious for their cancer cluster around their area. Many of the children in my neighborhood attend Spalding Elementary, which is a half mile from their Vantage. Their schoolyard can see the emissions, the smoke coming from Vantage. So I think not only is Medline a serious threat to us, but Vantage as well. And although it'd be easy to say, you know, that's Gurney's problem, there are many wards that are affected by Vantage, and so we do need to keep that on our radar as well. And like I said,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jack Dye.
Good evening. I've spoken several times about budgets, taxes, wasteful spending, and our insatiable need to function on debt. However, tonight I have a more pressing concern to address. Waukegan, are we a city of progress or a city of pollution? Waukegan has more than its fair share of pollution and toxic contamination, with sites such as Johns Mansville, OMC on the lakefront, Yeoman Creek landfill on the northwest side, all Superfund sites with the EPA. North Shore gas plants, north and south, are considered to be national priorities, list caliber sites, and are being addressed through the Superfund alternative approach. We have a total of 5 locations that have cost millions upon millions of dollars to clean up hazardous waste and monitor from an era of unchecked pollution. This isn't counting the NRG coal-fired plant sitting on Lake Michigan for decades, emitting pollutants into the air. This location has 2 supposedly unlined coal ash pits with toxic mixes of arsenic, chromium, and lead that will eventually find its way into the groundwater, possibly Lake Michigan. The cost of cleaning up that site will certainly be expensive. We haven't begun to even tally the financial and healthcare costs to residents, visitors, and the workers of the area. We recently learned that ethylene oxide emissions above cancer-causing levels are coming from a manufacturer on the far west side. The firm has stated that they are working with contractors to add secondary controls to existing scrubbers with an estimated completion time of Q1 2019 or March 31st. Will these scrubbers with secondary controls remove all the health risks for people in the area? What does Waukegan feel is a safe level of environmental pollution? I don't believe that any level is safe when you read about and hear about what this chemical does to a person. We need to regulate these types of emissions. We need to push for legislation to fight for Waukegan residents. We need to invest our political capital in Waukegan. Why is Waukegan taking such a passive stance on these issues as opposed to being a vocal advocate for yet another environmental concern? For example, Waukegan's Planning and Zoning Commission has a meeting in about 2.5 weeks to recommend the creation of 2 new sections of ordinances regulating solar and wind energy within the city's jurisdiction. Yet we haven't heard anything in the city regarding ethylene oxide emissions nor retarding the coal-fired plant until tonight when people came out to speak out about the issue. Waukegan needs to take environmental concerns seriously. I find it almost comical we are looking to implement regulations on renewable energy while we are currently have 5 EPA cleanup sites, a coal plant with unlined coal ash pits sitting right next to Lake Michigan, and ethylene oxide emissions coming from an industrial facility on the west side of the city. Please remember, everyone up on the dais, people vote for their wallets and their health. Let's become a true city of progress. As a side note...
Thank you, Mr. Dye.
Thank you.
Clyde McLemore.
Good evening. I didn't know the city was like that. That's probably why my wife is suffering from neuropathy. We couldn't figure out what her problem was, but I'm sure we'll have that checked out. Thank y'all that spoke about that. You know why people around here getting sick. Good evening. Once again, I'm here on behalf of the mayor and his lies and destruction. Sir, you remember this? This is your capital improvement plan. This was given to me by the mayor's office. We also talked about your plan on the south side to try to rebuild and beautify the first ward. Mayor, you have been the alderman for 18 years over there, and you just stated you waited for this office for 20 years. And you've been a mayor going on 2 years, and after reading this plan, it don't say nowhere where the city is going to raise taxes or the water bill. On page 3 or 4, it states that it has bonds which will cover it. Even to compare yourself to this baby, to say you the first, she did a great job when she was on the school board as a board member. You can't compare. You're not doing it good. So this capital improvement plan is worth to go garbage that is written on. Alderman Bowles, take the lead in your ward. Have a community meeting. See what the residents' desires and needs is. Don't wait till election time. Mayor, why is it when a successful Afro-American business in your city, you try to destroy it? Yesterday was Super Bowl Sunday, the biggest day in any open business for a sports bar. You shut them down. As I said, on election night, I was more happier than you because I thought minority issues would be brought to the mayor's office, only to see nepotism, cronyism, and straight out lies. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Blanks?
Brother Blanks, founder and chief president of Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. Many people have died. Black folks have been bombed and burned alive. Homes, businesses, and black churches went up in smoke for your right to register to vote. So vote. Use your voices. You don't like what happened here? Each and every one of you sitting here, your voice is a vote and your voice is a power. You really want to support this man in his businesses? It's good to show out in these numbers, but these are alderman seats that each and every one of you can run for. So I say to you, my brother, I don't know what happened, but I mean, it's just kind of ironic. I sit down and I talked with Stretch just 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was at his establishment. We had a sit-down conversation. The brother has a nice establishment there. And I don't know why, but I definitely will be talking to him in the future to see what's going on, because there's no way, if a business is doing good and you have these numbers of people showing up, definitely your vote is your voice. Make it work. Now, on another note, the reason I'm here speaking about voting as well, Mayor, I've shared with you all on many occasions, Mr. Henderson Darby, Reverend Henderson Darby, who sued the entire state of Mississippi to retain his right to vote. You will be representing Jackie Robinson. After sitting down with Jackie Robinson, this man, Meggers Evers, he moved forward to sue the entire state of Mississippi to retain his right to vote. I'm appealing today, and I would like to have Reverend Henderson Darby recognized in a resolution written up in his name. He spent his last days here in the city of Waukegan, where he went on and he passed. His name is Reverend Henderson Darby, and the fact that I'm continuing in his effort with Black Abolition Movement for the Mind in the area of social justice. Reverend Henderson Darby is my maternal grandfather. My name is Christopher James Darby Blanks. I'm giving you a copy of the resolution where he was recognized in the state and in the Senate and in the House. So naturally I will be appealing. I'm appealing that make sure he is recognized here in the city where he lived, and I'm asking that recognize his life and his work. Brothers and sisters, all of you are sitting here, you want to support this man, get on the phone, call your aldermen. Ask them what happened. Call them. Use your vote. It's your voice. The numbers is here, I'm glad to see, but also I would encourage you to keep coming out to the city council meeting. We can't be proactive, we gotta be reactive. And when you come, bring your children. because you can never let this type of happening happen where people are not held accountable. Thank you all for your time and your attention.
Thank you, thank you. Margaret Carrasco.
Tonight, I want to share a secret. Shh. I need everyone here tonight to promise me not to tell anyone. Okay? Here we go. I'm talking about a lesson in Waukegan Politics 101. I'm specifically referring to, you can go ahead, go there, and just turn around. Agenda item number 6A, special financing. Specifically, it states involving Elite Motors. It says that asking our aldermen tonight to use public money, our tax dollars, our money, for a private development. That sounds like a tip to me. Anyhow, I'm going to tie it in now to what our community's concern is with stretches. The intentional targeting of this particular minority business. If you look in the diagram, okay, you have Elite Motors that they're going to vote on for the taxes, so they don't have to pay taxes. Then you have the Ramada here, and then you have stretches. So, isn't it coincidental that the timing, everyone knows the word on the street is that our mayor, Sam Cunningham, does not want stretches there. And there's a reason, there's a darn good reason why, okay? Everyone knows that the mayor does not want the millennium to get out to vote, okay, at stretches. So, put 2 and 2 together, folks, okay? Tonight, this vote, we need to look and see who are all the property owners around. So, they want to shove them out of there, and for a reason, because the mayor already has a project here, even though perhaps he won't admit it, okay? And stretches is in the way, okay? And I'm talking about properties. Let's take a step further. Has anyone noticed by chance that a colleague of legal counsel's office has been doing the paperwork for a lot of quick claim deeds of lots of properties to the mayor and his family and extended family and companies, new companies now. So is our tax money dollars being spent for legal counsel?
Thank you, Margaret.
For the mayor?
Thank you. Thank you. Is that, Margaret, is that mine for the record?
Yes.
Actually, if you look in the Open Meetings Act, why am I the only person being targeted to ask for the handouts? Now, one other person here is being asked, why are you targeting me? No.
Margaret.
That's fine. We
Margaret.
already have a handout from somebody. It's
Margaret.
all right with me.
Margaret? Yes. You're not. We already talked about that. Stop.
You're not supposed to be talking right now.
No, not ma'am. Ma'am, with the diagram, Margaret, with the diagram, is that part of your presentation, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? It's part of your presentation. Would you like to present that as part of your presentation, yes or no?
It's not for the city.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
No.
Thank you.
Sarah Ali.
Exactly.
Sarah Ali.
Because we had it, sir.
Sarah Ali.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being patient. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Honorable Alderman.
My name is Sarah Ali. I'm a parent of 3 young children. I live in Ward 9. We've been here for a few years. I also, ironically, grew up in Willowbrook, which is near the facility of Sterigenics that is emitting the same ETO that we find problematic over here. My mother died of pancreatic cancer about 8 years ago. 2 blocks down, her friend passed away of cancer as well. 2 blocks down from there, another of her friends passed away of cancer maybe 2 years later. My father's office manager, her name is Evelyn, has battled 2 cancers. She lives across from Sterigenics, across the highway. Her husband died of brain cancer, and she has a neighbor who's also a common friend of ours who had colon cancer and passed away around the same time my mother did. We don't have data connecting the cancer to ETO, but for years we've wondered why so many people in our neighborhoods have had cancer. Now, when I say I'm concerned about the potential health risk that ETO poses to our community, I'm not talking about theoretical abstracts, and I don't think I'm overreacting when I say it's an issue that needs to be addressed right away. I believe that you are going to do what is in our best interest. My concern is that it's going to take too long, and too many people are going to be breathing this air, particularly our children, for too long. I would like to say tonight that as a representative of my neighbors in the area, not only would we like independent air testing, but we would really urge you to, if you have home rule authority or any other kind of authority, to take matters into your own hands. And I'd rather we be safe than sorry. So whatever you can do to reduce these emissions, we know that it's a carcinogen, it's a class 1 carcinogen. Scientists all over agree that it has other adverse health risks. So, and we also know that there are alternatives to it. So to me, it just seems like common sense. We ask them to use something else first, and then we do the longitudinal studies and look at the air and the cancer risk and all of that. So I, first of all, want to thank you for the presentation that we had tonight. And I also would urge you to ensure the safety of my children, the entire community, as swiftly and immediately as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ralph Peterson Jr. Ralph Peterson Jr.
Mayor, can I ask, somebody check, there's a whole bunch of cars beeping out here. Before we go on, can you just check and see how many cars are beeping?
Yeah, everybody check your car deals and probably hit it. You want your battery to go down.
Can you hear it?
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Peterson.
Hello, everyone. I would like to start out by saying that I feel like I've been shifted back into Mississippi 1940s when things were just horrifically racist. Now, here it is, Black History Month, and I'm before a black mayor, and we happen to have 2 black aldermen sitting up here. And keep in mind, it's Black History Month. And when I can see a gentleman step up here and plead for his business, I actually seen his voice cracking and a tear flow down his cheek. That's no good. That's no good. And what really bothers me, for the last year and a half, I brought evidence here showing you that you have 2 racist companies that you took on board. One was fired by the previous administration for overcharging blacks. The other one was fired for calling us niggers. And you held on.
Sir.
Stop the clock. Stop the clock.
The clock has stopped. Mr. Peterson, please, sir, do not use the word. Please, sir. I'm asking you as I ask Mr. McLemore, and he's so kindly obliged, but please spell it out. Do not use that. Please, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
As I stated, the company used the word.
Mr. Peterson, hold on a second. How much time we have?
154.
154. Now, sir.
And you're holding on to these companies to the point where the Ministers' Alliance had to come up here and ask you, please let these guys go. Now, this is the second black successful businessmen / companies that you've pretty much put the axe on. And I don't understand this. This gentleman's business is a plus to the community. We have gang resolution. He opens it up for any needs in the community. You should be on top of that. And it brings me back to December of 2018. I asked Alderman Seeger did he feel it was right for these companies to be here? And I'm also going to recommend that you have some kind of mental evaluation, Alderman Seeger, because your reply to me was, quit interrupting me, man.
Stop the
This
clock.
is my time.
Stop the clock.
Anyway, I said, anyway,
Mr. Peterson.
I asked,
Mr. Peterson. Sir.
listen, stop
Mr. Peterson.
interrupting me.
Mr. Peterson, please, sir. That right there, sir.
And I
That-
wish you would raise your voice at me like you did Clyde. I ain't forgot that.
Mr. Peterson, Mr. Peterson, please, sir, you can talk about me. You can talk, but you cannot use personal attacks on the audience or the alderman. I'm fair game, sir. That's all we asking you. Let's abide by that. I know you can't, sir. Those personal attacks on me is fine. The audience is not, and the alderman are not. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna say what I said. I'm gonna recommend you have mental evaluation in order for you to tell me that the tow companies did you the same way. What can you do about it? And you're elected officials, and as I stated, it's a shame before God that you are holding those two racist companies.
All right, thank you, sir. Your time is up,
Time's
sir.
not up. My
Your time is up,
time's
sir.
not up. My time is not up. And do not interrupt me again.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
a shame you're holding those companies after overcharging the black community and calling us niggers, and you will not get behind Stretch and help him out. You're ashamed. Listen, we're ashamed of you.
All right, thank you, sir. You can be removed, sir. You can leave the council chambers, sir. You can leave the council chambers, sir. Yes, sir. Remove him off the council chambers. Thank you, sir.
For what?
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The audience time is over.
I appreciate it.
This is worse than Chicago. Worse than Chicago. Worse than Chicago. 15 shots. Cover up. 16 shots. Cover up. Rainbow Street. Cover up. Rainbow Street. Cover up.
Oh, no, let's go.
You don't want that type of people on the top. The bad politicians, we pay our taxes, we work really hard to get these things going. Where is the 16 shot? We go down to the brain. We go down to the brain.
I got my mind still screwed on, right?
For everyone who's here, for everyone else who's here, we're gonna wait for the room to clear, and then we'll presume. Thank you. Can we close the door, please? Can someone back there close the door, please? Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone, thank you for, our audience time can be spirited, and that's okay. That's the American way. But there's certain things that we will not accept nor will we ever no longer tolerate the use of the word N-I-G-G-E-R. Mr. McLemore, we're going to ask you one more time. We're going to ask you one more time, sir. You're going to be escorted out, sir. Let's go, sir. Let's go, sir. Mr. McLemore, one more outburst, sir. You will be escorted out. Let's go. Thank you, Mr. McLemore.
We have a meeting to run. Can we
All right,
please
well-
run a meeting?
Yeah, we got one more outburst, sir. You will be escorted out, sir. Thank you, Mr. McLemore. As I said earlier, there's a certain decorum that we have in Waukegan City Council, and that decorum will be adhered to, not just by myself, but all of us on this diocese. We respect the fact that we have individuals who want to speak out. That's fine. We need that. We want that. I believe that would make our city better. But what we cannot have, and we should not tolerate, is certain things being said up there. These are intelligent people coming up. I believe that they can present themselves in an intelligent way. Not to be disrespectful to individuals in the audience or the alderman. I consider myself fair ground. I can accept that. But we will not allow for the audience who come here to be disrespected, to be mocked, to be used the word N-I-G-G-E-R, not by myself or anyone else. So I respectfully ask those individuals to do that, and I trust that they will in the future. If not, we will be finding a way to remove them from this council chamber. That might result in us being sued. But I believe that everyone up here agrees with me. Whether it be, I think the baby does too. Whether it be an African American, a Caucasian, a Latino, a male or female, that cannot be a word that is used in our council chamber. Mr. McLemore, I'm going to ask you one more time, sir. If you keep speaking, I'm going to ask you to be removed. Clyde, please. You are the founder of Black Lives Matter, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir. Clyde, if you one more time interrupting, you will be removed.
Mayor, let's move on to business.
All right. With that being said, council chamber, the agenda items on the meeting, we're going to be starting with item 5. 5, would there be no reports and communications? Item 6, 7, 8, and 9 will go on what is called an omnibus. So I'm going to make a motion on the floor, motion by Alderman Bolton, second by Alderman Tempest, to omnibus. And there's going to be some items that will be taken out, okay? All right, so.
Mayor, point of order, sir?
Yes.
You said 8? Then I think that was.
5, 6, 7.
Okay, no. 8 is after the administrative procedure. Oh, yeah, not 8, I'm correct. Item 6, 7, 9. Item 6, 7, and 9 will be omnibus.
No, 7, we had 2 holdovers.
Well, we're going to get to that, ma'am.
Okay,
All right. The holdovers, we're going to hold them over on the floor.
okay.
I'm going to do those on the floor, okay?
Well, Mayor, actually, I don't think you need to. They were held over in committee, so you don't have to hold them over on the floor. We held them in committee.
Items B and C in judiciary were held over in committee.
Yeah, but what I wanted to do, because we need to make a decision on that, so we'll give everybody another 2 weeks. We're going to push those items up to the council floor, hold it over up or down. We need to move on with those. That's the reason so items B and C, we want to get them held over on the floor.
Okay.
That's right, we can hold them over. We can hold them over on the floor.
Bob, can you clarify, please, is that possible? Because they were just stuck in committee.
There is no actual rule. It appears that we hold them in committee by custom.
Okay.
it's up to the city council to set the rules when there are no rules written. And I looked carefully to see if there was a rule while all this debate was going on with the citizens. I could find no rule that deals with it, so it's up, that leaves it at your discretion.
Okay.
And I know there was an alderman who wanted to take a look at them. Over the next 2 weeks, we'll make a decision up or down. But we have a lot of properties that we need to start making some decisions on. And these folks are coming in with other, that we're not giving no direction. So up or down and come back to where we're going to decide. So again, items 6, 7, and 9 are omnibus. However, item D, we need to take that up?
7.
No.
7B and 7C.
7,
B and C.
okay.
B and C.
So you may as well do judiciary.
Yeah, we're gonna do judiciary, just do judiciary, all right.
Okay.
So here we got a motion on the floor, motion by Alderman Bolton, second by Alderman Tempest, to move with omnibus. All those in favor? Aye. So, all right. So Judiciary Committee Chairman, just, I'm sorry, correction, Special Finance Committee, Alderman Valco.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Just read them and then we'll talk about it, okay?
Okay, motion to authorize the proper city officials to execute a reimbursement agreement with Elite Motors pursuant to Section 16-2 for the purpose of the recovery of public monies expended relative to the furtherance of private developer economic development proposals, including costs, expenses incurred due to the application for incentives, subsidies, or other approvals or relief from the city. Item B is a motion to authorize the proper city officials to make formal application for a grant requiring the disbursement of the reimbursable funds and/or a local match requirement with FEMA for the purpose of fire prevention and safety FP&S smoke detector programs. The execution of any grant agreement and/or intergovernmental agreement must return to the city council for further authorization. This was a grant for $11,900, and the city's local share was only for $567. A motion to authorize the proper city officials to execute a grant agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Natural Resources to continue to engage the Delta Institute to facilitate Waukegan waterfront working group meetings and to purchase materials and supplies for beach and dune protection and conservation. This is a fully reimbursable grant up to $70,000. Item D is a motion to approve a 2019 contract with Delta Institute for an IDNR funded facilitation of the Waukegan Waterfront Working Group in the amount of $40,000 to be paid from line item 251-825-124-489. This last $40,000 item, Your Honor, is a IDR grant which pays 100% of the $40,000, and I so move on all 4 items, sir.
All right. Judiciary.
Yes.
Alderman Villalobos.
Yes. Item A, motion to approve zoning calendar 2579, conditional use permit for a laundromat at 2929 West Grand Avenue with conditions as outlined by staff. Item B and C, as we have stated, are being held over. Item D, motion to create an ordinance creating a Class J liquor license for Hampton Inn and Suites, 438 Lakehurst Road. And just for some information, the hotel will be looking to serve only beer and wine within their kind of storefront area. There won't be a service bar there. It's merely for the guests to be able to purchase something while visiting at the hotel. And that is all for judiciary. Thank you.
I want to add, probably going to have 2 or 3 more. A lot of the other hotels are doing that. That's just normal hotel operations to be moved out there. So be prepared for that, Alderman. Thank you. All right, item number 9. Because item number 8 was being held over. We all know that, right? Okay.
Item A, motion to authorize the proper city officials to approve the purchase of the Waukegan Fire Department 6X Series manual monitor defibrillators, model 601-223-1011-01, and associated additional equipment for emergency medical services from Zoll Medical Corporation for amount not to exceed $163,733.76. Per section 42-458I1, sole source. The purchase will be charged to line item 100-3020-25472. I so move. And item B, motion to authorize the proper city officials to purchase the Waukegan Fire Department a 2018 Chevy Tahoe Patrol Package 4x4 through the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative Joint Purchasing Program Contract number 147 for an amount not to exceed $36,046. Funds for this purchase will be charged to line item 100-301-192-6493. I so move, Your Honor.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Under this motion that's been read for item 6, item 7, item 9. Are there any questions to the motion? Oh, yes. Okay, I want to do a correction. Item 6, item 7A, and item 7A, and all of items 9. The reason we're doing that because Alderman Newsom has a question on item 7D, all right? So we're going everything except in judiciary items 7A only, all right? Any other questions?
Are we going to be voting on these again?
No, they're going to be held over.
Okay.
They're going to be held over. So, all right. Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Villalobos.
Just one sec, clarification, so judiciary is just only item A?
Yes,
B,
sir.
C, and D are being held over, okay.
Yes,
Thank you, thank you for the clarification. Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Tempest.
Aye.
Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
All right. Now, items 7D. Motion by Alderman Villalobos, second by Alderman Mozio, to approve orders creating a Class J liquor license Hampton Inn and Suites at 438 Lakehurst Road. Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Villalobos.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Nay.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Nay.
All right, motion's passed and carried. All right, we're down now to items 11. There's no old business of 10. Items 11, motion by Alderman Valco, second by Alderman Newsom, to approve vendor payments dated February 2nd, 2019, in a total amount of $1,043,721.80. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Villalobos.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion by Alderman Valco, second by Alderman Bolton, to approve regular payroll dated February the 1st, 2019, in a total amount of $1,505,587.10. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Villalobos.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion's passed and carried. Motion by Alderman Seager, second by Alderman Tempest, to approve PBLC holiday buyback payroll dated February 1st, 2019, a total amount of $5,541.78. Any questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Villalobos.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion's passed and carried. Motion by Alderman Villalobos, second by Alderman Valco, to approve final cash out payroll dated February the 1st, 2019, a total amount of $21,591.76. Questions to the motion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Seager.
Aye.
Alderman Mozio.
Aye.
Alderman Villalobos.
Aye.
Alderman Newsom.
Aye.
Alderman Tempest. Alderman Valco.
Aye.
Alderman Taylor.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Motion is passed and carried. Motion by Alderman Newsom, second by Alderman Bolton, to approve all raffle sales applications. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion is passed and carried.
Before we get on to this, we still have to have a motion on items 7B and C, Mayor.
Motion by Alderman Villalobos, second by Alderman Moiseo, to hold over items 7B and C on the floor.
Yes.
Any questions? Well, that's not it, just hold it over. All right, that's it. Thank you for clearing that up. Alderman's time.
Alderman Seager.
Aye. Oh, no comment.
Alderman Moiseo. Alderman Villalobos.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for everyone for coming out tonight. A couple of things to bring up. First, I'd like to bring up the ethylene oxide situation. Clearly, a lot of residents are concerned about this. I think it's important for us as the elected officials to put on our community activist hats in this situation and really advocate to make sure that Medline is doing what's appropriate. One of the things I'd like to see us push is to actually get Medline to get a set date on these emission controls. First quarter is pretty open and vague, so that gives space for them to say, well, we didn't get there. So we have to work towards actually making sure they have a hard set date of installation. Also, we need to work better with the US EPA to make sure we are at the forefront of their minds. One thing too, for one of our votes, clarification about the Elite Motors vote. As mentioned earlier, it is not the city, it is not us using city money for a developer. We had the potential developer give us $5,000 kind of as a retainer for our legal that's going to come up in the due diligence process with their proposal. So for that Elite Motors vote, it's not the city using $5,000, it's the Elite Motors giving the city $5,000 for us to use for expenses that will incur in our process. Couple of things, I want to say thank you to the Waukegan School District. The Family and Community Engagement Department has invited me to participate with their strategic planning process. So I'll be working with school district staff as well as community members and leaders to help strategize on how to have the district better engage with the community. So I look forward to that process. We just had our first meeting in the past 2 weeks. Also keeping on the education. I also am a member of the Lakeshore campuses for the advisory committee for CLC's Lakeshore campus. And we were updated that CLC we have the new president, Dr. Lori Suddick. She's really going to invest in downtown Waukegan's campus. They showed us a presentation proposal to roll out new certifications and course offerings at the Lakeshore campus starting this fall. I don't recall everything, but I think it's like 5 or 6 new offerings already for certifications. I do recall cybersecurity being one of them, but I think that's going to come out in the 2020 school year or 2021 school year. Residents, please keep your eyes open for new offerings in downtown Waukegan. It's right in our backyard, so if you're looking to expand your education, there's more there's more space for that. I'd also like to mention another event coming through Waukegan School District 60 for February 6th, which is this Wednesday at 6 p.m. It is the State of Education for African American Students and Other Students of Color. And just to read the brief description of what the thing is about, Waukegan community members are invited and encouraged to participate in this educational seminar covering topics such as academics, attendance, behavior, special education, and alternative placement as it pertains to students of color across the country. So this should be a good educational dialogue to have. I invite residents to participate. I will be there to give my input and also listen to others. And lastly, I do want to thank the firefighters. We did a vote. I mentioned it during committee. They really worked diligently on saving money for the community. There was a vote for defibrillators, which came in as a bill of $163,000 and change. But they were actually able to get it reduced. It was closer to $200,000, so they saved the community about $30,000 plus through their negotiations with the company that we use for that. So thank you, firefighters. And with that actually in mind, would like to, I know we're in contract negotiations. Can we get any updates? It's been a while since we've had that. And
Not at this time.
Not at this time, no,
Okay.
I mean, but, not in public, but again, just at a certain point in time, can we get some?
Yes, we will. As soon as we
dialogue
get
about that?
something, we'll certainly will give it to everybody. Alderman.
Much appreciated, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And that is all, thank you.
Alderman Newsom.
Thank you. I did have a question for our Corporation Counsel. The young lady that spoke this evening regarding ethylene oxide and being a resident of Willowbrook. We are home rule, and I wanted to know exactly what our authority is as being home rule. What can we do about these companies? Can we shut them down, or what authority do we have in the city of Waukegan?
Not as much as you might think. You know, the home rule powers give the local municipalities that have them the ability to regulate and legislate in manners that are consistent with state law. You can't do things that are contrary to state law, of course, but within the parameters that are set forth there. The issue here is that you have, and that's what the IEPA's mission, and that's what its sole purpose is to provide regulations for businesses, among other things, in dealing with environmental problems or environmental claims. Does that mean you can't investigate? No. Does it mean you can't spend money? No. Does it mean you cannot pass regulations that are different than the state has? Yes. And that's where the problem really comes in. The ethylene oxide it may well be a serious problem, but part of the difficulty here is you have a very practical aspect of it as well, which is simply that the IEPA has a budget of many, many millions of dollars, and that's what their function is. They have very qualified, extremely intelligent people with lots of resources behind them, PhDs and the rest of it, that work at their facilities and figure out what their protocol and their regulations and rules are. We don't have any of those resources in front of us. The practical problem is you could, if you tried to adopt an ordinance that you thought was consistent with state law, it would be very easy to go over the edge and create something that's inconsistent with state law and do harm to a company. That's a huge liability risk in that particular setting, as well as the potential of chasing away creating a business climate that's not conducive to other legitimate businesses when you're looking at one in particular. And that's part of the problem of looking at it from a localized point of view. It's one of the reasons that when we talk about it, and we've had many discussions among the staff and the rest of us about the best way in which to handle this from a local perspective, and that is if in fact Gurney and Waukegan managed to get together, or Willowbrook managed to do it by themselves and chased away that business, really you haven't changed anything. All you've done is change the population that's going to be affected by it, because the companies are still going to operate as long as the US EPA allows them to. It's just that they may move and take their jobs, and if they're poisoning people, they may poison someone in some other locale. That's really not accomplishing an awful lot from a public good in the grand scheme of things. I understand that there is a very regional effect, which is here. But in terms of what we're actually allowed to do, and I'm kind of extrapolating beyond your question there.
Because I got another one.
But the actual power that we have is curtailed by the Constitution of the state of Illinois, which gives us power to regulate within laws that are consistent with the statutes that the legislature has set forth down in Springfield. And they've given exclusive power to the EPA for an awful lot of things.
Now I know that Medline does sterilization of equipment. Can they be forced to use another solution or something else instead of what they are presently using that seems to be harmful?
And that's where the problem comes, because right at the moment, using ethylene oxide inside these chambers where they, it's basically a big sealed room, they put the stuff inside, they close it up, they fill it full of ethylene oxide gas, and then suck the gas back out Apparently, that's where some of the loss comes from, is when they suck it out. But the US EPA allows them to do it. The state EPA currently allows them to do it. If we were to try to pass a regulation that said they couldn't do it, that's inconsistent with state law and it violates what our home rule powers are. That's what I was getting at.
Okay, so,
As well as we just don't have the technical expertise available at the local level that they do at the state, because we just don't have that, we're not structured that way.
so we have to lean on the state.
We have to lean on the state, and especially, and they take their marching orders from Washington. And that's really where this debate needs to come from, because if you think about it, if all we did was, going back to if we push them out here and they set up shop in North Dakota or Kentucky or Tennessee or Florida or wherever they went, we've just simply moved them within a population group, but they're still among our friends, relatives, and people who live in that area. We haven't accomplished that. In order to really regulate this effectively, it has to be done on a national basis, because this is a product, this is a process. We have to sterilize stuff in order, and you need these things in order to do surgery. We understand that. The difficulty is trying to figure out how to do it safely within current technology that's available. I don't know what all the technology is. I don't know what the options really are. But I do know that if there's a better approach out there, then the place to figure that out is with the US EPA, so that they set one rule for the entire country, so that because the product is worthwhile, someone will figure out how to do it safely within those parameters. And then the playing field will be level and fair for everyone.
Okay, thank you. And I also wanted to thank you, Mayor, and the chief. During the snow, I had residents that called me regarding parking on the street and their streets not being able to be plowed. So I thank you, Mayor, for being willing to work, and the chief, getting someone out there to take care of that issue and coming up with a solution. And I know that you'll be working with all the aldermen on what we talked about, be it, alternate parking or whatever we have to come up with to take care of that solution. So I just want to thank you, Chief, and Public Works. Thank you so much.
Alderman Tempest. Yes. Alderman Valco.
Thank you, ma'am. At the beginning of last year, Alderman Taylor had made mention a couple of times about her concerns about the lack, I don't want to say lack of fire protection, but lack of personnel in her station out there where she lives, in her ward. She stated that it was called a jump station. So after the second time she mentioned it here at Open Council, I went to her and I said, Annie, what are you talking about, lack of service or lack of personnel? She said, Bill, you've got the same problem up in your ward. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, most of these stations are supposed to have 5 people. My station and your station has got 3 people. So if anybody out there, I'm going to get this wrong, I don't know if it's called a truck, a pumper, or whatever. But let's say you got a truck there and a fire call. 3 guys go out on a truck, 3 people. You have an ambulance call. 3 people go out, so the truck stays there. I hate negotiating in public, and I'm not going to give facts or figures or anything else as far as salary structures. You just don't negotiate in public. But I got to tell you, since last council meeting, I got 2 phone calls at my house by citizens in my ward who wanted to know if this was true. And I said, yeah, it's true. Both fire stations, my fire station and Alderman Taylor's fire station, is understaffed. Well, what are you going to do about it, Valco? Well, I'm going to make mention of it, and I'm going to try my damnedest to let's get something working with the city. I've heard stuff that says, oh, don't worry about it, Alderman. We've got mutual aid from different departments around here, and the citizens will be covered. after I did some digging in the last month, month and a half, one of our neighboring stations to the north is in financial trouble, and they might be permanently closing down. The next station north of that in another city is probably going to be laying off firefighters. I'm sorry, the station is closing. And the one city to the south of us is laying off, I think, 3 or 4 people, and a couple are retiring. So I do worry about mutual aid. And the reason being that if something happens in my ward and they got to pull a truck all the way down from Belvedere and Jackson, the main station, to come up, or an ambulance, I really don't want to worry about that when my life is on the line. You've got several aldermen up here that would like to get this done, Mayor. Corporation Council, other aldermen. Obviously, as much as she's spoken, Alderman Taylor's on board, I'm on board. Obviously, I believe Alderman Tempest is on board. And I'm sure the alderman from the 3rd Ward is on board after his life got saved by the paramedics who were responding right away to where he was when he had his heart attack at the school. I do not want to find myself in that position where a truck's got to be coming, or an ambulance has got to be coming out from Old Plain Road, and it's got to be coming up to my house. Or there's no mutual aid coming from Zion, or Beach Park, or North Chicago. Let's get these fire stations fully funded, not funded, excuse me, fully staffed, and let's see if we can go for there, because I don't want to get any more phone calls at my house asking if it's true. And I have to tell them, yeah, it's true. We don't have your fire departments fully staffed. So, Mayor, I know you've been trying hard, sir. Let's get this damn thing done. Let's get these guys on the street. I don't want to have to worry about the firemen in my district or anybody's district getting hurt, and the citizens as well getting hurt because the fire department can't get there, whether it be with a fire truck or with an ambulance. And I'm just saying, let's get these lawyers together, because we all know, we've all done enough contracts. The only ones that make money delaying this long is what? You're laughing. Who are they? The attorneys. That's the only ones that are making money. So please, I implore you, sir, let's get this thing done. The other thing that I have is, for those of you that don't know, is that the CERT program from the fire department is starting again. It starts February 28th. That is the Community Emergency Response Team. Just go to the city's website, and there's a CERT application form. Fill it out. You have to be 21. They're probably going to do a background check on you, and turn it in to Captain Matt Burleson at 847-249-5410. And you can learn all about disaster preparedness for hazards that impact their area, and trains them in their basic disaster needs. One other thing that I want to say is, without giving, that I'm not going to give out salaries, I'm not going to give out benefits, but I just want to tell the people here in the audience, your fire department had over 11,000 calls last year. Almost every other department in the county had 3,500 to 4,000. So these guys are working, these guys, I say men and women, these guys are working, are humping real good. So if you know your alderman, if you got the mayors here or whatever, let's get this thing done. Let's get these guys on the street safely, and so for all of you, when it comes to your house, you can be safe too. That's all I have, sir.
Alderman Taylor?
I will say it's so nice that he listens to me so well and so patiently. Thank you. Yes, since I became an alderman, actually, when I first found out that we had a jump station at Station 2, was when I decided to run for alderman, and I started going through the neighborhoods, and people were telling me, you know, well, we voted on a referendum to fund that station. Well, no, you didn't vote on a referendum because we're home rule. You didn't do a referendum. But what we did tell at some point, not this mayor, not, you know, is that we were going to fund those stations, and we did for a while until the economic crisis hit. The problem is the area is growing. I have McGaw Park that's filling in with industry. We can't keep up with 3 people at that station. Yes, we do have mutual aid, but in my case, my mutual aid is Gurnee and Libertyville. Libertyville also has jump stations, and if any of you see how many ambulances go in and around Gurnee, they have their hands full on their own. So our firefighters are one of the most trained firefighters that I've ever seen, and I think that our community deserves to have fully funded stations and fully manned stations. And like I said, it's been a project for me since I became alderman, and for me, it's important that my residents are protected. For a lot of us that are far away, if our backup is from Belvedere and Lewis, that's a long way out to Old Plain and River Road. So again, this has been a personal fight for me, and I will fight for it until my dying day because my residents need it. Second of all, I want to talk about the ETO. Alderman Waukegan and I are the ones that, this is our wards. We were at a presentation yesterday. It was very educational. I want you to become educated on the matter. Just know what's going on. Like I said, we're still a far way away of trying to sort out how we're going to handle this. This is something that's new, but I suggest that you take the opportunity to become educated residents. Last, I want to talk about the snow. I want to say in general, the 9th Ward did pretty well during this last snow and the cold weather. I was very impressed. I was out on the streets. People were handling it well. I will say, during the snow, don't leave your cars parked on the street and your driveways empty, please. It's just a pet peeve to go around and see a driveway completely empty and 3 or 4 cars on the road. We need those streets cleared. We need you to clear your sidewalks so that if there is an emergency, we can help you. So again, just please take the opportunity. You know, the residents were really good. They adjusted to garbage pickup. In general, I will say I was so proud of my 9th Ward residents, but please understand during these situations, we need to work together. And I want to thank Stretch for having a warming center and for Red Iguana in the 9th Ward because they were very much appreciated and you did an outstanding job. Thank you.
Alderman Bolton?
I too want to thank Public Works for receiving all my extra calls and working with me and going above and beyond. And I too want to thank the fire department for keeping me abreast of everything going on in my ward. Good job. God bless.
All right. Just real quick, for the 2 aldermen, I do want to be clear. I think the contract says 23, correct, Chief? 23? 23 men. 24, okay. However, the chief, because of that, and with overtime, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Chief? With overtime, you have been able to keep those stations up to a certain level of men. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Yes. So what we've been trying to do is do that through overtime. And maybe that's an option we need to take a look at versus some other things. So, but I'll talk to you guys. We might have a resolution for that, and that aspect will be. But just to be clear, part of their contract says one thing, but through the chief and moving around monies with finance, they've been able to have 27, have those particular places manned properly. But we'll look at, and obviously this is going to cost. It's going to be some dollars added to those. I understand. I hear that, but Alderman, understand, we had a 0 tax levy increase. All right, as long as we all understand that. Motion by Alderman Valco, second by Alderman Taylor, to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed and carried.